Good morning, students. Yeah, good morning, Aviram. So how you guys are doing? Please quickly tell me. Okay, fine. So yes, good morning. What others, beta? Yeah, good morning, Niharika. Yes, yes. I need to find myself. Yes, yes. Janvi, Nayan, Akshaya, Irfan, Tanushri. Good morning, beta. Tarun, good morning. Srilatha. Okay. Yes. Good morning, Niharika. Okay, fine, fine. So yes, fine, fine. Okay, okay, great. Great. So, any doubt you want me to repeat? Any concept from the previous class? Yes, yes. Quickly tell me. Any doubt, beta, regarding previous class? I have already told you volume strength, and I have also given one question regarding volume strength of H2O2. What is volume strength? It is nothing but volume of oxygen. Okay, volume of oxygen liberated on decomposing H2O2 solution. Right? So I can write it here. Right? It is nothing but volume of O2 liberated, okay, or O2 released on decomposing on decomposition of given H2O2 solution. So there were two formulas. I will write them again. Volume strength, 11.2 into molarity of H2O2. This was one formula, right? Uh, yes, fine. Okay. And another one was volume strength is nothing but 5.6 into normality of H2O2. This was another formula, right? These are two formulas which we will use to calculate volume strength. The second one is more important. Okay, this we have already studied, this we have already discussed. Okay, okay, so coming to the titration, I think we have done a bit of titration, right? We have done a bit of titration. Just let me see. Yeah, we have done. Okay, we have done. We have started the titration, right? Then there are only two things which you should know. One is iodometry. This is iodometry. In this case, what we do, just remember, standard I2 solution, standard I2 solution is reacted with some easily oxidizable substances. So I will give example. This is very important example. Iodine will be reacted with hypo Na2H2O3, and it will convert this thing into Na2S4O6, and itself get converted into Na2NaI. This is iodometry. Okay, this is standard, so you will be knowing everything about this thing. This is standard, right? This is standard, so you will be knowing everything. So I am just repeating whatever we have discussed on the I do not remember, Friday or Saturday. Okay, we will add something. So this is titer, that is titrant. This is standard. So we will add drop by drop into it. So we are knowing all the information about this thing, and we trying to find out the concentration of this thing, right? So it can be calculated by using law of equivalence, that is equivalent of, for the above reaction, equivalent of I2 reacted sorry, equivalent of I2 reacted will be equal to equivalent of hypo, this is hypo beta, reacted is equal to equivalent of Na2S4O6 reacted must be equal to equivalent of NaI reacted. This is using the law of equivalence, that equivalent of all the participating component in a reaction are always equal. So considering that relation or that statement, the equivalent of I2 must be equal to equivalent of hypo. This is hypo. This is known as hypo. This is hypo. Right? Also, this we already know that equivalent is nothing but mole into valency factor or molarity into volume of solution into valency factor of that particular substance or given substance, right? For whose you are going to calculate equivalents, you should know their moles, you should know their molarity, or at least this information should be known, or this information. Then using that, you can easily calculate equivalents. And once you know the equivalent, if you know the equivalent of iodine, you can easily find out the equivalent of this thing also, right? They will be equal. If its equivalent is 3 in this reaction, then its equivalent must be 3. So this is iodometry. Iodometry, you use this iodine to estimate the concentration of some other solution. So we try to oxidize. So you see this is going from 0 to -1. Its valency factor is 2. So it is getting reduced basically. If you see its oxidation number is decreasing. If you see its oxidation number is decreasing. But in this case, it is +2 and it is 2.5. So in this case, oxidation number is increasing. So it is getting oxidized. So this is getting oxidized. Hypo is getting oxidized and iodine is getting reduced. So equivalent of iodine reacted must be equal to equivalent of hypo reacted, right? And valency factor of hypo will be, please tell me what will be the answer over here, please quickly tell me. Any one of you? Niharika, Aviram, Tanushree, Tarun. Please tell me. What will the N factor? Okay, only sulfur is changing its oxidation number. So I have given this hint to you. Only sulfur is changing its oxidation number. Now please tell me. Come on. Yes, Aviram. Please tell me. Aviram, Janvi, Akshaya, Niharika. How do you calculate valency factor? How do you calculate valency factor? It is nothing but change in oxidation number, right? So if you calculate this, it will become, for hypo, for the case of hypo, it is nothing but you need to check that sodium is not changing oxidation number, only sulfur is undergoing change in oxidation number. So if you calculate, there are 2 atoms of sulfur and change is 2.5 minus 2. It is nothing but 1. So its valency factor is 1, right? And valency factor for iodine is 2. Because if you see, it is changing from 0 to -1 for 1 atom, and there are 2 atoms. So 2 into 1, that is 2. That is why it is 2 and it is 1. So using this, you can easily calculate moles of some other oxidizable, some easily oxidizable substance. Okay, so you are using standard I2. So they will give you some concentration of iodine, right? And they will ask you concentration for this thing, right? Then there is iodimetry, iodometry. This is another concept. In this case, what is happening? Some oxidizing agent or some substance, you can say, is reacted with fixed beta. This is fixed, that excess of Ki. It has its purpose. So in this case, some oxidizing agent will be reacted with excess of Ki. And now what this oxidizing agent will do? This oxidizing agent will convert this Ki, this excess of Ki, it will oxidize. It is already in -1. So it cannot be reduced. Something which is present in its minimum oxidation state, it cannot be further reduced, right? So its oxidation number can only be increased. So in this case, this oxidizing agent will increase oxidation number of iodine and convert into I2. Okay, and some other things. Now, this produced I2 will be reacted with hypo. Okay, so In this case, there will be two reactions. So it is basically indirect estimation. So some oxidizing agent is reacted with excess of Ki, liberated I2, or resulting I2. You can write resulting I2 will be reacted with hyposolution. So whatever I2 we are getting, we are reacting it with again hypo, and this hypo will convert this I2 into I minus. Okay. So in this case, there can be two kind of questions. Either it can ask you about this thing or about this thing. Okay. So you are estimating concentration of oxidizing agent or hypo with the help of iodine. That is why it is known as iodimetry. First was iodine, this is iodometry. So in this case, two reactions are used. Okay. So if you see, you can use from the first reaction, reaction 1, valency, equivalent of oxidizing agent reacted must be equal to equivalent of Ki, but it is in excess, so it doesn't matter. Okay, Ki is already in excess, so you do not need to figure out about Ki. So this is given information. Okay, this is already given information that Ki is always used as in excess. Okay, so you need to use this equivalent of Ki reacted will be equal to equivalent of I2 produced. Right? So this is from the first reaction. You can easily use this relation for the second also. You can write for reaction 2, you can write for the second case, this reaction equivalent of I2 reacted must be equal to equivalent of hypo reacted. Right? Now there is one very important thing, that generally equivalent of I2 produced, you can use this thing, will be equal to equivalent of I2 reacted. This is from first and one thing is from second. This is from first reaction and this is from second. So this is valid only when valency factor of I2 is same for both reaction. Then only you can use this. Just look at the concept. If you are not getting it, tell me, I will repeat it again. Quickly go through it. Try to understand. You can raise your hand if you are having any doubt, or tell me, I will re-explain it. Yes, tell me please. Did you get it? Quickly, beta. Did you get it or not? Quickly. Come on. Tanushree, Tarun, Vaishnavi, Srilata, Varshan Sai, Niharika, Irfan, Janvi, Akshaya. Please, guys, tell me, did you get it or not? Okay, okay. See, beta, did you get the first one? I am explaining this thing again. In this case, you are not aware about the oxidizable substance. You are not having information about the concentration. But you know everything about iodine. You know its molarity, you know its volume. Using that, you can easily calculate. If you know its molarity, volume, and everything, you can calculate equivalent of I2. And you know this reaction, that iodine oxidizes hypo into Na2S4O6. If you know the equivalent of I2 using this relation, okay, you know this thing, you can easily know the equivalent of Na2S2O3. This is the first thing. If you know this thing, M into V into its valency factor is 2, you can easily know the equivalent of Na2S2O3. Okay, so you can easily calculate equivalent of this thing, and as its valency factor is 1, so equivalent will be equal to its mole. So you can also calculate the mole of hypo. That is the first process, in which case you are aware about the you are having information about iodine. Okay, standard solution is taken for iodine, so its concentration, its volume will be known to you. You should be trying to know the concentration of this thing using this iodine. Okay, fine, that is very simple. You just equate the equivalent of both things, and you are knowing the valency factor for iodine as well as hypo, or some other oxidizable substance they will give you in the question. But in this case, what happens? Some Ki will be given. Okay, so you are oxidizing this Ki with some given oxidizing agent, and this will produce iodine. So first you are getting iodine, okay, and then this iodine is estimated using this hypo solution. So in this case, first we are producing iodine, and now this produced iodine is titrated with hypo. Okay, so either you are using this thing, you can easily calculate the concentration of this hypo solution. So you will be knowing about oxidizing agent. Once you know about the oxidizing agent, you can easily find out the equivalent of iodine. Now see, if you have knowledge about oxidizing agent, this oxidizing agent, let's say it is permanganate ion. Okay, so if you are knowing knowledge about this thing, this will be given in the problem, that its molarity, its volume. Okay, so you will calculate iodine, right? So I'm just writing a question, using that you might be able to solve. 10 ml of 0.1 molar KMnO4 is reacted with excess of Ki, the liberated I2, the liberated or the resulting I2 is reacted with 0.2 molar hypo solution. Okay, and it says calculate volume of, very simple beta, it might look very difficult at the first instance. Okay, just see, calculate volume of hypo solution required to reach the end point, of reaction. Okay, just read the question, then I will solve it for you. Just read it once. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Fine. So question says that KMnO4, you are reacting KMnO4 with Ki and it is producing I2, right? Okay, somewhere you can write in acidic medium. The first process is taking place in acidic medium. It is given, beta. It is given. I have already. Okay. Let's say it is given in the problem. Okay. It is given in the problem. Okay. Let's say it is given in the problem. Just assume that it is given in the problem. Or you can add here in acidic medium. In acidic medium. Right. Okay. So this is your first reaction. Now it is given that it is 10 ml. This thing is 10 ml. This is 0.1 mole. In the acidic medium, you know that KMnO4 get converted into Mn plus 2. So its valency factor is nothing but 5. You can also see this is -1, this is 0. So its valency factor is nothing but 1. This thing, the valency factor is 2. For this thing, the valency factor is 2. Because it is 0, it is -1. So you calculate there are 2 atoms. So 2 into 0 minus of -1. That is why valency factor for this I2 is 2. How did I calculate? It is coming from I minus. So change is, you can write for iodine. For this reason, you can write I2 coming from I minus. Now you calculate valence factor will become 2. Right. Now you can use law of equivalence, which says equivalent of KMnO4 reacted will be equal to equivalent of I2 reacted. Sorry, produced. So just KMnO4 is how much? Volume is given, molarity is given, valency factor is known. So 0.1 into volume is 10 ml into valency factor is 5. This is already given to you. This is already given to you. Now using that, you can easily calculate moles of iodine, or sorry, equivalent of iodine. Equivalent of iodine becomes equivalent of I2 produced will become how much, beta? 5 millimole. 5 millimole. That's it. But it is not asked in the question. They are saying you need to calculate volume of hypo. Till now everything is okay. Quickly respond. Till now everything is okay or not? Aviram, Niharika, Tharun. Quickly. Vaishnavi, Srilata. Okay, fine, beta. So till now, if you come to know the iodine, now the next reaction is, this is first. Now this iodine is reacted with hypo solution, S2O3 minus 2. If you react with, it converts S2O3 into S4O6 minus 2. You do not need to balance. Just check the valency factor. The valency factor here is 2. If valency factor are same, then this can be written as equivalent of I2 reacted for second reaction should be equal to equivalent of S2O3 minus 2. You can, as valency factor are same, you can directly write this thing for the second. So you can write 5 milli equivalents. Okay, just a second. We just write equivalents, milli equivalents. Equivalent of S2O3, they have given its concentration, but its volume is not given. So you can write 0.2 into volume into its valency factor. Its valency factor is nothing but 1. I have already calculated. It is 1. Now you can solve it. And yes, so it will become volume 5 divided by 0.2. That is 25 ml. Why it is ml? Because it was milli equivalent. Please go through the solution. The equivalents of iodine produced in this case are used for the next case. This we can do only when valency factor is same for both reaction. Okay, we are using equivalent of I2. So valency factor of I2 must be same here and here also. Generally, in your case, in NEET, they will not give you reactions with different valency factor. Okay, you guys generally, but for your safety, you can always check the valency factor of iodine in the first reaction and valency factor of iodine in second is same or not. If it is same, then only you can carry forward the equivalent formed in this reaction into the other. Okay, so volume of hypo required is volume of H2O3 required hypo is 25 ml. 25 ml. This is your answer. Tell me, did you get it? Quickly, beta, quickly. Beta, you can raise your hand. Tharon, Vaishnavi, Varshan Sai, Srilatha. If you have got it, please tell me by raising your hand. Did you get it? Nayan Dora, Aviram, Akshaya, Janvi, Irfan, Tanushri, Tarun. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Or are you guys writing it? You guys are writing it, right? Please. Niharka, did you get it, beta? Aviram, Niharka, okay, fine. Okay, fine. So let us move to our next concept. Okay, iodimetry. Iodimetry we have already done. The question related to acid-base titration. Acid-base titration. They will be covered in ionic equilibrium, beta. Ionic equilibrium. Right. Then another thing is that standard oxidation potential, and standard reduction potential. These concepts also be covered in electrochemistry. chemistry beta. Okay, these two concepts, you remember that these two concepts are not covered in this chapter, okay, right now. So these will be covered in electrochemistry and ionic equilibrium. Or if you get some doubt, if you find some question, then you can ask me separately, right? There is no doubt. I will explain that. But for now, we are not introducing this in our class. There is another concept that is known as hardness of water. You must have felt this. Sometimes we are using soap on our clothes and we see there is no froth generation. Okay, we see there is no froth generation. Okay, we are using so much of soap, but froth is not generated. You understand froth, beta? Please quickly tell me. Do you understand froth? Froth, right? If you are using soap on your clothes and froth is not generated, then it means that generally that water contains some ions or some substance which makes this water as hard water, right? This hardness term can be explained in two things. Okay, but before that, please tell me, do you understand why this term? Yes, something like this generated. Okay, when you apply something, some soap on this cloth, then something like this generated, na? Yes, Vaishnavi. Okay, right. So froth is some simple term. Okay, so sometimes due to the water, due to hardness of water, and you can also see in your buckets which you are using. Sometimes you see in buckets there will be a white precipitate is or scaling of white kind of substance is there, and this is due to hardness of water. Okay, yeah, foam also you can say foam. Yeah, yes. Okay, so foam also you can say foam, right? Yes. Okay, Nurugu. Fine. So there will be Nurugu. Okay, there will be no Nurugu in hardness if water is very hard. Okay, if the substances or the ions of I will tell you that this hardness is of two types. One is temporary, and in the S block you will learn more about it. In this case, we will do for only numerical purpose. So bicarbonate of temporary hardness comes by bicarbonate of calcium and magnesium. What is bicarbonate? It is nothing but HCO3 minus, right? Generally, water contains these solutions or these salts, bicarbonate of calcium or magnesium. This temporary hardness can be removed just by heating the water. If you heat it, its temporary hardness will be gone. Okay, but there are something else also that is known as permanent hardness. Permanent hardness. It is due to sulfates or chlorides of there will be salts. Okay, calcium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, calcium chloride, magnesium chloride. Okay, then your water is permanently hard. Okay, that kind of water can also be converted into good water, but it requires some good chemical methods, and you will learn those in S block. Okay, there will be a chapter known as S block, but in this chapter we are trying to identify the hardness of water, and hardness of water is measured in terms of so I'm just writing here. Hardness of water is estimated in ppm of calcium carbonate. So we will try to figure out the ppm of calcium carbonate. That's it. Okay. So what we will do, we will add something into it and we will try to figure out calcium carbonate. Okay. So the amount of calcium carbonate found. Do you understand the ppm? So I will just explain what is ppm. Weight of solute upon weight of solution or solvent into 10 raised to 6. This is your ppm. We have already studied this in mole concept, right? This is ppm. This is how we define ppm. Tell me, quickly tell me, did you get it or not? What is ppm? Yes, yes. So temporary hardness is due to bicarbonate of calcium and magnesium, and permanent is due to, I've already told you, chlorides and sulfates of calcium. So this is the question they will ask you: which of the following will cause temporary hardness, and which will found which will provide you permanent hardness, right? So I can write a question like this: which of the following is responsible for temporary hardness? Temporary hardness. First, calcium bicarbonate. Second, calcium sulfate. Third, calcium chloride. And fourth, all of the above. What is your answer? Let others also comment. Vaishnavi, Varsant, please tell me. Srilata, Tanusri, what happened to you, beta? You have put us such a dangerous DP, huh? Such a scary. You are not replying, not participating. Srilata, yeah, thank God you have replied. Yeah, that is right, beta. Due to bicarbonates, it comes, right? And how do we calculate hardness? Okay, if some question is given, it's a very basic question. You do nothing. Hardness in ppm, hardness in ppm, it is nothing but mass of calcium carbonate. They will give you mass of calcium carbonate divided by total mass of solution into 10 raised to 6, because we try to find out it in ppm, beta. This is your important formula. I will give you one simple question, beta. One simple question. How to solve such kind of question? They might give you like this: 10 raised to 3 liter of water contains 5.85 gram NaCl, 11.1 gram milligram calcium chloride, okay, 8.4 milligram magnesium bicarbonate. What is the hardness of this water sample? Just read the question, then I will explain how do we do, because in the formula it is calcium carbonate. Here you will see there is no calcium carbonate. What we do? Just read it, then I will tell you. Just look at the question. Okay, so just let me tell you. See, I have told you that hardness comes due to this thing, chloride, and this thing. Through this temporary, through this permanent, right? But if we want to calculate the hardness, we need to calculate calcium carbonate. So just see, there is 11.1 gram of calcium chloride, right? Okay, you can also write this calcium chloride. Somehow we will calculate it into, convert into calcium carbonate, right? So calcium is same, this is also same, so their moles should be same. Divided by, you divide it by how much? Its weight is 111 beta. Its weight is 111. So this will be its mole. So weight of calcium carbonate will become mole into its molar mass of calcium carbonate is nothing but 100. So moles are nothing but 11.1 by 111 into 100. Okay. So this will give this much of calcium carbonate, right? If it is giving like this is only 11.1, and also it is given milligram, right? So you can also here write milligram. Final answer will also be in milligram. Now another thing, they have given you magnesium bicarbonate. This will also provide calcium carbonate, right? Similar way, calcium carbonate. If you see its base, its weight will become, how much weight is given? 8.4, right? So 8.4 milligram. So its mole will become 8.4 divided by, its weight is nothing but 146. If you want to convert all of this, you want to convert, so as this is Mg plus 2, this is also 2, their moles should be same, right? So their moles should be same. So weight of calcium carbonate, which will be formed by using this thing, Okay, we will add some calcium into this. Okay, we will add something so that it get converted into calcium carbonate. So using this can be found as moles into molar mass of calcium carbonate. It is nothing, moles are 8.4, 146 milligram into 100. So total weight of calcium carbonate becomes, let's say it is 1 and this is 2. It is nothing but 11.1 upon 111 into 10 raised to minus 3 into 100. This is your first, plus 8.4, 146 into 100 into 10 raised to minus 3. This is your weight of calcium carbonate. Now another thing, it is given that it is 10 raised to 3 liter. What does it mean? For water, 1 ml of H2O means 1 gram of H2O. This is we already know. So 1000 ml will become 1000 gram, right? This we already know that 1 ml is nothing but 1 gram. 1000 ml is 1000 gram. It is even 10 raised to 3 liter. So it will become 10 raised to 3 liter means 10 raised to 6 gram. You know the weight of solution. You know weight of calcium carbonate. Can't you use this formula? You know the mass of calcium carbonate. You know total mass into 10 raised to 6. Will you be able to find out or not? Quickly tell me. Please. You know the weight of solution. Weight of solution is given 10 raised to 3 liter. So it is given 10 raised to 6 gram. Mass of calcium carbonate I have told you. Okay. Using this. This is very, very nice question, beta. For at your level, it is a very good question. Generally in exam, they will give you either this or this, so that it does not take much time. But for practice, I have chosen some good question. Okay. So if direct calcium carbonate is not given, you need to see why we have not taken NaCl. Because in the reaction, in the starting, I have already told you, hardness comes from bicarbonate of calcium and magnesium only, not due to sodium. Here also, sulfate or chloride of calcium and magnesium. NaCl will not contribute in the hardness. That is why NaCl is not included. This will not contribute in hardness. Chloride of sodium. So I am writing it, chloride of sodium will not contribute in hardness. So this is very important in hardness. So if you see, chloride of sodium will not include in hardness. That is why I have not taken NaCl. I have not converted NaCl into calcium carbonate. Is that okay, beta? So I have just converted calcium chloride. How did I convert it? Given weight upon molar mass will give you moles. Equal moles of calcium carbonate will be produced. Weight of calcium carbonate will be mole into molar mass. Same here. So I have calculated total mass. Now you can easily use formula hardness, weight, let's say this weight is W upon 10 raised to 6 of water into 10 raised to 6. So it will become W. So what is the answer of W? That is your weight of Kelvin for this case. Okay. So this is, I have divided by this thing. In the numerator is this. Okay. Did you get it, beta? Quickly tell me, or shall I repeat it? Quickly tell me, shall I repeat it, beta? Yes. Okay, beta. So you need to remember these two things, beta. This is very important. They are not going to ask. Very rarely they are going to ask about numerical, but you should know that temporary hardness comes due to bicarbonate of calcium and magnesium, and permanent hardness comes due to sulfate and chlorides of calcium and magnesium. Did you get it? Okay, fine. I am giving one question. Just tell me the answer. 10 raised to 4 liter, 10 raised to 4 liter of water was treated for hardness. Treated for hardness removal. Okay. Hardness is not good, beta. Okay. Calcium carbonate after treatment, 0.1 gram of calcium carbonate is found. Calculate hardness. Calculate hardness in ppm. If nothing is given, you need to calculate in ppm. Please quickly give me the answer. I am writing option 0.001 ppm. Second option is 0.1 ppm. Third is 10 ppm. And then fourth is 0.01 ppm. Yes. If you want to check the formula, I will write it, because as you guys are not able to write. So hardness is nothing but, I am writing the formula. Hardness is nothing but weight of calcium carbonate upon weight of solution into 10 raised to 6 beta. This is your hardness. Now please tell me. Okay, beta. Okay, so it's a very simple question. It is given that 10 raised to 4 liter of water, right? So they have given you weight of solution will be, water is given. So this is only the solution in which calcium carbonate or hardness is need to be calculated. So 10 raised to 4 liter, you know the density of water. Okay, 10 raised to 4 liter, and density of water is, you already know that. No one is going to give you beta 1 gram per ml. It is 1 gram per ml, right? So you can convert it into ml, 1000 into 1 gram per ml into ml. So this is nothing but 10 raised to 7 gram. So weight of solution is nothing but 10 raised to 7. Okay, and now ppm hardness, or hardness in ppm beta. Weight of calcium carbonate is nothing but how much? 0.1 beta. Weight of solution is nothing but 10 raised to 7, 10 raised to 6. Now if you see it will become solve at 0.01 ppm. This is your answer. Correct answer is this. So such simple questions can also be asked from. Okay. So, okay, I will share the notes, beta. I will share the notes. And there is one thing is remaining, that oleum, right? Percentage of SO3 in oleum, right? So let's see. I will cover it in the next class. Only one topic. Otherwise, this chapter is already done, beta. So you can practice it from NCERT also, or I will give you some questions, right? Chapter is already done. Only one concept, small concept is remaining, that is percentage of SO3, percentage SO3 of oleum, right? So, okay, I am concluding the class. Okay, fine. Fine, guys.